Management of trust funds often causes a lot of confusion in legal firms. So we will have a look at trust transfers, but the sequence would be receiving a deposit from a client, invoicing fees and disbursements, running the automatic transfer where it will transfer monies where there is money in trust and a fee has been raised, so there's a business debit. And importantly then to pay the transferable amount from trust and separately to receive the transferable amount into business. So let's have a look in practice. If we go to OJS, first of all, just to get a better understanding of trust and business in a legal firm. If I search for a matter with some transactions on it, when I scroll down you'll see that there's work in progress, unbilled work, but there's also accounting entries, there's some trust entries, there's even some investment. To get a good look at this matter, I'll go to matter statement, and I could look at it, transactions there, but it's easier to see in a PDF. The PDF is exactly what the client would receive when you send them a statement. So if we look at the PDF, you'll see it's split into a business section, so this will show all the business entries. There already have been some transfers here, but the client still owes over 6,000 Rand. If I scroll down a bit, you'll see there is money in trust, it's like 11,000, so I've got more than enough to cover my work that I have raised already. And I have also invested some money into the investment account, section 78.2a. So if the sequence of events would be to receive the deposit from the client, and as I say, if we look at our trust transactions, we have posted a few receipts here, but typically the way of posting receipt is a matter receipt, so after you receive the money into trust and it goes into trust, it's deposited in trust where the work hasn't yet been done, so this would have been prior to raising the invoice, you would then be given the option of where is the money being received, normally into an electronic fund transfer directly into the account. You'd select which matter it's for instance, the example we had. You'd have a narration like deposit received, the amount, and that would generate the entry that you've seen there. I won't redo that now. Likewise, we would invoice fees, which is simply from my unbilled I would go and invoice. It would take all the unbilled that are selected and generate an invoice. So typically here a number of invoices have been generated. Outstanding are still 6,778.20 Rand. If I look at my trust investment commitment and notice in the filter I'm just typing COM, it's the only menu item with that string in it. This will look at every account where there is trust and or an investment. So this is a very, very useful report for at any time being able to establish your trust investment commitment. So let me have a look in a spreadsheet what it looks like. So for instance, I'll have the client with the matter how much is in trust and how much is invested. And for instance, there's the one we've been looking at. We have 11,000 in trust, 50,000 investment. By the way, this report then shows you a total of trust, total invested. If I go to that tab, I see how it should be exactly the same amount that's in the bank and the same amount that's invested as you've got in your investment. So if I run the trust transfer now, I'll have the posting program and the report. So we must obviously run the trust transfer. You could do it at a particular date, but I want to do the current date just by default. It will go through the system and look for every matter where there is money available to be transferred. You can see a number of matters. This matter we've been looking at. In fact, I'm saying we are reserving 5,000, but there's still sufficient to, in fact, not. So you'll see I've got a business balance here of 677, but 11,000 less. I've reserved 5,000 perhaps to pay a third party, so I can only transfer 6,300. So let's take that example, and I can just transfer just the one. Normally you transfer everything, but in this example I'm just going to select that one and transfer. So that would have now transferred, and if I looked at the matter again, sorry, I want to look up here. You'll see I've just got, it's done the transfer. I've retained just my 5,000 that I've reserved, and it's transferred what was available for transfer, which is the total trust less the reserve, but obviously not, this never gets considered for transfer, the section 78, that's its saving. Now what is very important is that if I take this amount here, so that's the amount I want to transfer. What is very important is that there are two entries to complete the transfer, because what happened is that transfer, if I go and look at my trust transfer clearing account, which is a system account that's been created by the system, so it's actually a matter, I would see there's that transfer that's been posted as a business debit, and on the trust side it will be a trust credit, and that gets cleared once I post the payment on the one side and the receipt on the other side. So what would happen is, I would make a trust payment to the firm from the trust account, and the matter I would pay against is the trust transfer clearing account, and whichever bank the money came from, so the Absa Bank for instance, this would be transfer, because this is what's going to appear in the bank itself, and that would be the amount of the actual transfer. And then secondly, I've got a matter receipt that would be posted into business, because I'm now receiving against into business, and whichever business bank account I'm going to put the money into. Again, the trust transfer clearing account, and the amount, and that will complete the trust transfer posting. So it's important to, there's three aspects to it: running the trust transfer, which updates the matters, paying out of trust in favour of the firm, the transferable amount, and receiving the money into the firm's bank, the transferable amount.